Let's have some sexy time. We're going to talk about mating and sex and how to get it. Now, I have read a lot of these books, and my videos about what women want come a lot from these books. That gave me the confidence to say, oh, it's not just me. There's nothing wrong with me for having these standards for men. But a lot of guys are getting really pissed off. So you can get pissed off and stay out of the mating game, or you can pay attention and learn how to get women if you want to. Some of you don't, and that's totally fine. But I'm going to be reading from this book, and it's going to be some cold, harsh facts, guys. Cold, harsh facts. This book is written by Tucker Max. He's a former pickup artist. He wrote a book like No Beer in Hell or something. They hope they serve beer in hell. And Dr. Jeffrey Miller, PhD, who is a professor of evolutionary psychology and the author of The Mating Mind and Spent. All right, so I'm going to be giving you some juicy bits out of this book to become the man that women want. Because a lot of men are very angry. And I want to say you have a right to be angry. Your anger is telling you something. Your anger is telling you that something isn't right. And I'll tell you what isn't right before I get into this. Angry feminists telling you that your masculinity is toxic isn't right. It should piss you off. Don't listen to them or do something about it. Start a group for men. Don't buy into the bullshit. The other thing that should piss you off is how our economy has been decimated by big corporations who are owning the politicians, and the lack of proper wages and the huge increase in the cost of housing, healthcare, and education. That should piss you off. And, you know, when I get angry, I look at why I'm angry, what boundaries are violated, and what steps I can take. But coming after me on my YouTube channel is not the way to make change. It doesn't help you get rid of your anger, and it makes you seem like a volatile imbecile, frankly. Okay, with that out of the way, for those of you who want to improve yourselves, oh, one more thing I want to say. I started a membership area of my YouTube channel. I have enough subscribers now that I qualify. So if you hit join, you can join the membership channel. And going forward, I will reply only to comments in the membership area. I will no longer be replying to comments in this open area. I will still keep this open area. I will still make videos here, but in the membership area, I will be replying to comments. I will be posting like a little bit more videos, maybe about my personal life, about my dating experiences, and about my bookkeeping. For those of you who are interested in that, you know, very vaguely. I may let you know a little bit more about my Just for Fans and where you can find that. I don't know yet, but basically I wanted to have an area where I can interact with people that are respectful. And people who pay the $5.99 a month for the membership will be respectful, so I can interact with you in the comments. I can get your ideas for other videos. We can discuss things that bother you. Like, it's just going to be a safe space for me. It's going to weed out the riffraff, okay? Okay, so in the book Mate, and I'm going to read a bit of it, so if you don't want to look at me and you want to listen to this while you're driving, you totally can, because I'm not going to be showing anything like that you have to look at. But this is my take on the highlights. And by the way, I just made this flowering tea. If you want to look at it on the YouTube shorts, it's like the most beautiful thing. It's so yummy. This is written for men. You have no fucking idea what you're doing. Not when it comes to sex and dating and women anyway. That's probably why you bought this book, or why someone gave it to you as a not so subtle hint that you need to get your shit together. Don't beat yourself up about it though, because it's not your fault. Your culture has failed you and the women you're trying to meet. For decades now, women have been wondering, where are all the great guys? Me too. That's why I make these videos. Where are all the great guys? I'm wondering. And you have been wondering, where are all of you going? What did I say? And nobody has a decent answer for either of you. Your culture should have taught you long ago what we're going to teach you. To be successful in mating, you simply have to become the kind of man that women have evolved to want. I'm going to repeat that. To be successful in mating, you simply have to become the kind of man that women have evolved to want. So the 5 principles that they go ahead, that they're going to go through in this book is, 1 is to get your head straight, is to get confidence and clarify your goals. The number 2 is to understand what women want in men and why, and then for you to understand the key traits of physical health, mental health, intelligence, willpower, tenderness, and protectiveness. Those are the things women want. Let me tell you again. Physical health, mental health, intelligence, willpower, tenderness, and protectiveness. Yes. Number 3, display attractive proofs. Number 4, go where the women are. Number 5, take action. In this video, I'm going to maybe get your head straight. They tell you about, I'll just go into how to get your head straight, but the main thing I wanted to talk about is what women want, because a lot of guys don't seem to get that. So, in competence, to build confidence, you must boost competence. And the only way to do that is to actually get out and start practicing things. And the more you practice, the more you will have success. And to have a growth mindset that you have to push through your low confidence and depression. So that's really all in the book. It's normal that you feel fear, anxiety, and self-doubt, and low confidence when you're faced with learning a new skill or improving a trait. That's normal. Do not let that stop you. You have to adopt a growth mindset. Okay, I don't really want to go into that much. I think that was maybe not so interesting, but this is the juicy part. Understand what it's like to be a woman. At least 70% of the questions that men ask reveal a total failure to understand the woman's point of view. As a man, it is impossible to be better at mating until you understand the subjective experience of a woman, because it is fundamentally different than yours in many ways. And that's where I make a lot of my videos, by explaining my subjective experience as a woman. But a lot of men get so pissed off at the standards that I have. It's like, you guys are so unattractive when you don't even understand us. So I'm going to help you out here. When a man interacts with a woman, his greatest fear is sexual rejection and humiliation. This causes him to spend as much time and energy on defensive strategies to protect against rejection as he does on mating strategies to attract women. Women are totally different. In these interactions, they are not much afraid of rejection. Rather, when a woman interacts with a man, she is afraid of being physically harmed or sexually assaulted. Right now, you're probably thinking the same thing we did when we first learned about this when we were young men. I've never hurt a woman in my life, and I never would. And we bet you're right. You're probably perfectly safe. But she doesn't know that. When she meets you, you could be Jack Ryan, Jack Sparrow, or Jack the Ripper. Any one of those is equally likely. Even more terrifying is the fact that over the course of her life, the biggest threat to a woman is a man she knows. This is not some idle, irrelevant statistic. The overwhelming majority of women that suffer physical or sexual assault suffered at the hands of a man they know intimately. And their fears don't stop at physical harm. They're just as vulnerable to social and emotional harm as well. Socially, you can spread lies about her or damage her reputation, sometimes just by being associated with her. You can pretend you love her, get her pregnant, and then abandon her. This is only the beginning of the harms she potentially faces at your hands. We cannot emphasize this enough. Mating success requires cross-sex insight. You need to understand how women evaluate your qualities and how they perceive the status, danger, opportunities, and threats that you could present. The better you learn to see these things from women's point of view, the less unattractive you will be to them, and the less confused, resentful, and frustrated you will be by how they respond to you. You don't have to become a psychologist or feminist. We're telling you to simply understand women, because this will help you do much better with women, whether your goal is a one-night stand, a friend with benefits, a girlfriend, or a wife. You will have better dates, cooler conversations, and hotter sex. It will help you to stop acting like a self-sabotaging dick. The insights in this chapter are not a collection of opinions or moralizing lessons. They are based on the best current scientific knowledge that we have about women's psychology and sex differences. We'll also focus on women's vulnerabilities, concerns, and anxieties that you might not have considered before, because these are the aspects of the female experience that have long stood between men and a greater understanding of women. Okay, she's tired of being objectified, so subjectify her instead. Yeah, we don't want you to just think of it as a set of tits and a vagina and a piece of ass. And I only have sex with men who appreciate all of me first. Yeah, so I totally get this. A lot of men don't get this because they're like, yeah, use my dick, ride my dick, use my body. You don't understand that we can get pregnant. We evolved to have a different set of criteria. We're a lot more vulnerable. And even though I'm not afraid of men, I'm very aware that any man could strangle me with his bare hands. I want to say one more thing before I continue with this, to kind of get the idea of how women feel around men. Women, when we see each other, we always give each other a hug. But why don't men give each other a hug? Because you don't want the average man that close to you. He's not that attractive, number one. He might not be that safe. Even you as a man know that another man might not be that safe. That's why you don't walk down a dark alley at night. That's why you pick up on signals when a man is about to get angry and start a fight and you want to cool it down. You know that men can be dangerous if they're unhinged. So that's why I don't like volatile men, because they're not trustworthy. They could hurt me, like it's an instinct. Okay, so when a guy goes off on me in the YouTube comments, I'm like, this guy's unhinged and unstable, and I don't want to be anywhere near him. It's just, you guys don't understand. It's so weird. I've never been around men who don't get women until I started doing YouTube videos and watching YouTube videos, because the men in my family get women and have women. Okay? Because that's what I expect. My ex-husband was that way. My sons are that way. My dad is that way. My brother struggles, but he hates women. He's got issues, mommy issues. So that's from that compassion I have towards my brother, is how I feel the compassion to all the men that are coming after me. because I see my wounded brother in all of you. But he's almost 60. He's never been married, never got to have kids because he didn't want to look at his stuff. And a lot of you guys are going to need therapy to get over your stuff, but now I digress. Okay, to attract women, you must be able to take their point of view and think of them not as marketing vehicles to objectify, but as living, thinking, feeling individual humans. You have to subjectify them. Accept, understand, and acknowledge their individuality. If you want to guarantee mating failure, all you have to do is think of her as nothing more than an inanimate object, as an 8 or a 9, as a simplistic robot with a set of triggers and hot buttons to manipulate. At that point, you've reduced your customer to nothing more than a cash dispenser, or since we're talking about objectifying a woman, a sex dispenser. Objectifying women is stupid. It might reduce your anxiety, but they're judging you and they don't like it. Okay, the next point, she's physically vulnerable and she knows it. I think we already talked about that. If you understand women's sexual and physical vulnerability, dating should make a lot more sense. The next point is she's been dealing with creepy douchebags for a long time. Now listen to this part. A woman can tell how well your life is going from how you look in about 2 seconds. Now, men don't have this gift. You guys look at a woman and you see a jiggling piece of ass, or you see a little, this. Probably got a lot of guys used to write to me that they masturbated listening to my voice. I can guarantee you that no woman is masturbating listening to my voice. I don't care how gay she is, or a straight woman masturbating listening to a guy talk. Guys don't need a lot to get turned on, but so you don't need all these cues because we're prey in a way. We're not dangerous, but women have evolved all these cues, and I do too. I can tell in 2 seconds if this is a guy that has got it together enough for me to be interested. And when these guys are coming after me like, oh, Shahrzad, you've been single for 10 years, so you're the problem. No, the men are the problem, because very few men in today's world that are single, they have to be single and live within, a 15 or 20 minute drive of me, an hour max. Very few men have the qualities that would make me attractive to him. That's why I make these videos. Okay? That's why I'm making these videos, because if I can't find a man that has these basic qualities, like my ex-husband, except better in bed and more emotionally attuned, I don't want a man. But I can tell how well your life is going in about 2 seconds. Your face and body are leaking all kinds of cues about your sexual experience, self-confidence, and personality. And she can see it all in one glance. Yes. I don't think that men appreciate. Ladies watching my video, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? You ladies know exactly what I'm talking about. Before you approach her, she's already decided whether she wants you to talk to her, and she's already judged your mate value and your status before you toss the first lame derpy pickup line at her. She can smell your overpracticed pickup tricks from a mile away. It's her superpower. She developed it over many years after putting up with so much shit from lame guys hitting on her, catcalling her, sexually harassing her, and potentially even stalking her. In my case, sliding into my DMs, trying to get with me on my Facebook or my Instagram, even on my LinkedIn. It's like, no, creepy. And it's creepy because it's done in a way that's not, it's from a guy that doesn't have the basic things that I'm looking for. Since puberty, when she started developing hips and breasts and pretty facial features, she's had to deal with creepers and sketchballs to some degree or another, and she's probably pretty sick of it, yes. And unlike men, we're not looking for guys who just want to slide their dick in. It's hard for guys to appreciate what it would be like to grow up being stared at and sexually harassed every day of your life from age 12 onward. So instead, what you need to realize is that all the sexual attention a woman gets, so is in her a fear of raw physical violence that could be sparked. Okay? It's the female reality of living in sexual fear. She's afraid of creeps, weirdos, crazies, losers, and stalkers. And these guys that leave nasty comments on my YouTube channel are crazies and losers. I don't want it. I'm right to be annoyed and mad. And believe us, and when we say that, from her perspective, they make up a high proportion of men, especially the ones that likely to hit on her in inappropriate ways. Yes. Don't come after me. It's these guys saying it, and I'm like, yes, I feel this. The psychological research, for instance, shows that from a woman's point of view, most guys she meets will be less kind, less agreeable, less empathic, less conscientious, less reliable, less clean, less everything really than she and her friends are. Even if she accepts those sex differences, she still has to wrangle with the fact that many mental illnesses and personality disorders are more common among men, the more dangerous ones no less. These male-dominated disorders include alcoholism, drug addiction, autism, schizophrenia, narcissism, white-collar sociopathy, and criminal psychopathy, all of which make each random encounter with the man less likely to end in love and more likely to end with a fight-or-flight response. Most guys reading this book right now are probably sitting there thinking, what the fuck? I've never done any of that creepy shit. Don't lump me in with those assholes. And we agree, most of you guys are solid dudes. You're just suffering for the actions of the highly non-random sample of guys who hit on every woman in sight. That's why it's so important to understand the world from a woman's perspective. Think about women's experiences with guys like a city cop's experience with people in general. Cops spend 90% of their time dealing with the scummiest 5% of humanity. Likewise, women spend a big proportion of their time in the mating market avoiding the small percentage of guys who are the most intrusive, obnoxious, or insane. All right. Guys with Asperger's are another factor, although they're often introverted and so less likely to approach a woman. If they do approach, they're bad at reading nonverbal cues of disinterest or rejection, so they're more likely to persist beyond a woman's comfort zone. There are almost too many other types of men who do things women find repulsive to name them all. Simply put, her experience is that the worst guys come straight at her while the best guys are nowhere to be seen. And that's my experience too. Now, this is going to hit a lot of you guys hard, but it's the cold, hard truth. The average guy finds the average woman at least somewhat sexually attractive. Think about it. The next time you're walking down the street or hanging out in a mall or student union, ask yourself seriously, what percent of these women would I be willing to have sex with right now if it was safe, easy, consensual, and no strings attached? If you're like most young guys, the answer would be well over 70%, even including the moms and older women. By contrast, the average woman finds the average man sexually invisible, neutral, disgusting, or repulsive. Yes. And that's another thing I said on my video the other day, and a lot of guys were coming after me about these demanding women. It's true. Okay, these guys wrote the book. Let me repeat. The average woman finds the average man sexually repulsive, disgusting, neutral, or invisible. I used to feel guilty for that, but it's true. They are mostly disgusting and repulsive. But my neighbors, well, he's not that ugly, but I've seen couples together that I find the man super repulsive. but the woman is really into him. So that doesn't mean that just because we're more selective, just because I find you repulsive doesn't mean you won't find a woman who's going to be totally into you. But we're just not that interested in all men like you guys are interested in all women. That's the main point. So you may have a couple women interested in you and the rest of the women are going to find you repulsive. Men are just as picky when it comes to relationships and marriage, I'll tell you that. You guys are not that picky on sex, but you're very picky on marriage. And we're very picky on sex. More likely to want marriage. But let me continue. Okay, the average woman finds the average man sexually invisible, neutral, disgusting, or repulsive. Only a tiny percentage of guys inspire immediate lust in women. And most of those guys have already moved to New York or LA to become actors or models. If you're over 18 and haven't done that, you're not one of those guys. There's a huge sex difference in initial choosiness documented in both scientific research and online dating data that plays out in every domain of sex and dating. Women are choosier about who they have sex with. Men are choosier about who they commit to. Guys have sexual fantasies about almost all the women they know, whereas women have fantasies about virtually no one. She doesn't have as many sexual fantasies per month as you do. She doesn't masturbate nearly as much. And sex is usually more in the background of her consciousness than the foreground. All true. I work with men. I work with men sexually, so I can tell you this is all true. And I told you already I have it just for fans. Which is under a different name, so you can't, I'm not advertising that here. Another reason she's not attracted to most men is that she thinks their outfits are stupid and their clothes don't fit, because they are and they don't, and she's right. Most of you guys don't know how to dress, and you're really out of shape, so it's kind of gross. And you have a double chin and a belly, and you walk like this, and it's gross. It's not attractive. Don't worry, we'll help you with this in chapter 13. She also knows what your body would look like naked, and she probably thinks you're either a loser, a lazy loser out of shape, or a narcissistic gym rat in too good shape. Absolutely. None of this should be particularly surprising or contentious. She likes what she likes, and statistically, the chances are you're not it. Don't come after me. It's men saying this. Okay, I'm having a really good time with this. I am having such a good time with this book because I am so tired of, I'm kind of mad if you can't tell, because I've been trying to help men by explaining these things that women want and how I feel in my body when I see guys out of shape. And guys are coming after me like, what's wrong with women? Women suck. We can't do anything right. And it's biology. It's just a fact. So I'm just going to let the men tell you. And I'm not reading the comments on this video. I'm just going to read the comments in the membership area because I want to be treated with love and respect, with men who look out for me, who are tender with me. And there's nothing tender about going off on me. Like, it's such a turn off. Okay. Okay, it gets problematic when you don't get the picture and she has to tell you she's not interested in you because women don't like having to reject men explicitly. There's a deep evolutionary logic to this preference, and it has to do a lot with minimizing the very real risks they face from publicly humiliating their suitors. It was almost always better for an ancestral woman to keep a guy within her social orbit as a possible non-sexual friend rather than alienate or upset him. Women aren't being ambiguous and mysterious and elusive because they're playing games or fucking with your head. They're just instinctively trying to reduce the risk of provoking harassment, stalking, or violent retaliation. Here's how women tell you they aren't into you. Their first line of defense is simply to play it cool, professional, and neutral. They keep their physical and emotional distance, minimize contact and chatter, and eliminate any signs of affection or interest that could be misconstrued as sexual. If that doesn't work, they might escalate the subtle rejection vibes by acting in a way that naive young men interpret as cold, stuck up, or bitchy. This vibe is not cruel. It signals that you fail to appreciate their earlier cues of disinterest. Women are trying to do the best they can to reject you without humiliating you. The more experienced and confident they are, the better they are at rejecting you, obviously enough that you go away, but not so obviously that you're ashamed in front of your friends and other women. But it's not their responsibility to reject you in the way that would be least costly to you. It's your responsibility to take the hint as best you can and go away. Okay. Next point, she's already knows she's pretty and she's still self-conscious. I don't like guys telling me that I'm pretty right off the bat. I already know that. Not all of you think that I'm pretty, but a lot of guys already tell me that I'm pretty, so, it does nothing for me. I always like to compliment men too. I always tell them like, ooh, I like your chest hair. Ooh, I love your beard. Ooh, you look so strong. I love to appreciate men that are in person in front of me. If you meet a woman who strikes you as beautiful, you're probably not the first guy to notice. In attractiveness research, men show very high agreement in their ratings of women's faces and bodies. This means that as long as she has been objectively beautiful, she has been admired, hit on, masturbated to, and harassed by guys from ages 16 to 60. Many of the guys who hit on her were sociopaths because the nice guys found her too intimidating. This is one reason why it's pointless and often counterproductive to go up and compliment beautiful women on their beauty. I totally agree. If all you can comment on is my tits, I'm really not that interested. It's lame. Tell her something she doesn't already know and hasn't already heard from 1,000 guys. Better yet, don't tell her anything. Absolutely. Ask her about her interests, ambitions, friends, background. Anything that requires some social intelligence to appreciate beyond her hot girl persona. If all you're doing is telling me I have a nice ass, I'm going to think that you're very superficial and you don't seem like a very safe person to me if you can't see anything deeper. I'm just explaining it to you. Most women are still very self-conscious about their face, body, clothes, and accessories. Frankly, she doesn't really understand why you're attracted to her. This holds true even for a very good-looking woman because she compares herself to the world's most beautiful models and actresses airbrushed to perfection. She typically doesn't consider what men actually find attractive, or she misunderstands it completely. Most women think that men are most attracted to the rail-thin models or skinny actresses that grace the covers of the magazines they buy. Men prefer women who are physically healthy and capable with strong muscles, bones, connective tissues, and immune systems. Yes, and we're also interested in that same thing in men. Strong muscles, bones, connective tissues, and immune system. So I look at a guy's skin. Does it look healthy? If it's kind of yellowed or reddish from drinking or yellowed or something, it's like a turnoff. If a woman's really interested in you, she will go out of her way to be around you and to be visible and available for you to approach. Pay more attention next time. Then he talks about status, how a woman's status in your peer group can be negatively impacted if you're of a low status, if you disrespect her, if you hook up with her and tell all your friends. So she has to start thinking about what her friends will think and what her social group will think about you. Here's another important point. She's terrified of pregnancy, abandonment, and STDs. Exactly. And by the way, there is an orgasm gap. Not every guy is good in bed. A lot of guys coming after me on that video, like, if you don't satisfy your woman, you might as well masturbate. There is an orgasm gap. It is true that women are less likely to have an orgasm with a guy in a sexual encounter. The average guy, a lot of women are not sexually satisfied in their marriages. That's why they fake their orgasms. It's a real thing. It's a huge problem. It was a big problem in my marriage. That's why I divorced him. So I'm speaking from experience here. So I don't want to get with the guy who's going to be selfish in bed. And yes, she's terrified of pregnancy, abandonment, and STDs. What if you just fuck me and I never see you again? You as a man don't care about that, but we do, and that's why you have to understand us. We know from anthropological studies of hunter-gatherer societies that if a guy abandons a woman or he has a hunting accident and gets killed, the likelihood of her baby surviving drops alarmingly. It's a potentially huge cost, and it's why women have evolved a pretty good radar for detecting unreliable flakes. Being stuck with a little kid also seriously lowers a woman's attractiveness to future men. I feel like I gotta show a little more leg in this video. Hold on. Okay, there. Let's get more people to watch my video. Okay. For STDs like gonorrhea, genital herpes, or HPV, it's much easier for the viruses or bacteria to go from your penis to her vagina than vice versa. This can lead to infertility or infect the baby during birth. This is one reason why women evolved a stronger propensity for sexual disgust toward anything that tends to promote the spread of STDs, promiscuity, group sex, anal sex, whatever. If a sexual activity has a high STD risk but doesn't bring her much pleasure, building an emotional connection with the guy, or help her pass along good genes to future babies, why would she do it? This is exactly right. This is why I would never want to have sex with a trans woman, like a man that has breasts. Or even bisexual guys scare me. And gay guys, like these guys I want to film with me for my Just for Fans, no thank you. Because they have sex without condoms. I have all my sex with condoms. But a lot of guys don't care. They're always trying to have sex without the condom because they have nothing at stake. We have STDs at stake. And a man, ladies, listen up. A man having or bare vaginas is a privilege reserved for a man in a committed relationship only. Doesn't feel any different to me with their condom on, and it's a privilege. It feels better for the guy, but he has to earn that privilege, in my opinion. This is my opinion. This is not in the book, but I'm going to say it again. Why would a woman do anything that gives her a high STD risk, but not much pleasure? She wants to build an emotional connection with her guy. She wants pleasure, and she wants to pass along good genes. And anything that doesn't contribute to that, why would she do it? Such as being promiscuous, having group sex, or having anal sex. And I will say that there are so many promiscuous women out there, but in this book, we're speaking of emotionally healthy women. I'm going to make a whole separate video about these women that throw themselves, these married women that cheat on their husbands. I'm going to have to go on a huge rant because it pisses me off about women who cheat and blow up their families, and women who have 3 kids with 3 men and who just go around throwing themselves at men even though they're married or the men are married. It's very, very low-class, sketchy, trash behavior. But this book is assuming an emotionally healthy woman, not like a psycho. You could be the nicest guy in the world with everything going for you, but if you roll up to a woman trying to run game, looking or smelling like you just climbed out from the bottom of a third world public toilet, these are some of the fears that may be driving her to keep her distance. In fact, she cares more about how you smell than you can imagine. It's a mammalian thing. Pheromones are real. And so is poor hygiene. Some women will decide they're interested in hooking up with a guy just from his online dating profile. And the live in-person date is basically to see if he smells as good as he looked. Okay, now, you think women have it easy? We don't. Because, yeah, I could go outside and I could probably find some guy to fuck me, but that's not what I want. And if you don't understand that, you're going to have trouble getting women. Until you understand why we don't want that, you're going to have trouble. Because we want a competent man who wants to like date us. We want competence. We want someone who wants to stick around. So I don't get why men don't want to stick around. I kind of get it. Like they're like, I don't really want a relationship, but I don't get when men don't want sex or female companionship. That I don't get. Because sex with the woman and companionship with the woman is like such a beautiful gift to the world. I don't understand where some men don't want it. Like that, I don't get. I think they've just given up. Okay, women are just as frustrated by dating as you are. So women evolve to want different things at different times. As a man, it's easy to envy women's sexual power if you're ignorant of their romantic desires. As a man, it's easy to envy women's sexual power if you're ignorant of their romantic desires. I will tell you, some of the best sex I ever had, I didn't have an orgasm. It was all about how I felt, you know? So I can't imagine a man ever saying the best sex he ever had didn't involve an orgasm. Some of the best sex I ever had, I don't even remember if I had an orgasm or I didn't have one at all. It's not about that for me. I mean, sure, I want it, but not, those weren't even that. Just because a guy makes me come doesn't mean he was good in bed. I can make myself come. See, you guys don't get it. I think women are going to get it. You might think, like the seduction peddlers and the pickup artist community often do, that if you were an attractive woman, you could sleep with any guy you wanted, get laid every weekend, and it would be awesome. And you could, but you wouldn't enjoy it. Because that's not what women evolved to want. That behavior did not serve their evolutionary interests. In fact, this might be hard for you to believe, but it's true. It is much harder for a highly attractive woman to get what she wants sexually and romantically than it is for a highly attractive man. And I find myself in this position, actually, because for 61, I'm pretty good looking. And younger guys always want to get with me. I'm talking about like professional younger men who've got stuff going on, who've got like their own place and everything. But that's not what I want. It's hard for me to get what I want. Sexually and romantically, yes, it's absolutely true. I think it's easier for men because men are not that picky. I think men are going to have good sex most of the time. And most women are going to be designed to please you. You're going to have an orgasm. You're going to enjoy it. And yeah. Yes, every beautiful, bright woman knows she could seduce almost any man for a quick fuck. But that is really what she wants. She usually wants a boyfriend at least. And her experience, if she's single, is that she has failed over and over and over to get the guy she really respects and admires, the great catches, the Mr. Rights, to stay with her as long as she wants. In my case, not even finding a Mr. Right. If she does decide to have sex with you, what she's most concerned about is not whether you will break the bed, but whether you'll break her heart. I'm going to repeat that again, too, and this is why I don't hook up. This is why I stopped hooking up, even though I love fucking. I still get wet from fucking. Okay, don't email me. I don't want to hear from you about the fucking part, but I still enjoy sex, but I'm not going to just have it with any random guy. If she does decide to have sex with you, though, what she's most concerned about is not whether you will break the bed, but whether you'll break her heart. Now, this part I disagree with. Women naturally fall for guys they've had several orgasms with. No, not for me. It's not about that. But the better the sex and the more they like you, the faster it happens, yes. I can still have good sex without the orgasm and fall for you if you're very passionate with me. So will you fuck her for one night and never call her again? That hurts for a week or longer if she really liked you. Will you hook up for 3 months until she falls in love with you, then evaporate for no obvious reason? That will hurt her for a year or longer. All this makes the dating scene incredibly frustrating for women. Understand that, and you'll understand why women aren't bending over backwards to satisfy your unquenchable sexual thirst. She has sexual fantasies just like you do, except she gets a bunch of shit for hers. I'm way over that now in my 60s. I own it, but I'm not going to tell you guys on YouTube what they are. So Now, now that you have a much better grasp on the issues women deal with on a day-to-day, hour-to-hour, week-to-week basis, um, what can you do about a specific individual female? Next time you're in a class or sitting in the Starbucks, pick out a woman in a crowd and for a few minutes imagine yourself in her skin, okay? And then ask yourself these kinds of questions. And this is to kind of help you think about the woman's point of view. What is something unique to her life and central to her identity that is impossible for me to know just by looking at her? Who are the most potential threats around her in this place right now? What does she think about all the guys in here? What is the likelihood she thinks I'm among the most attractive guys here? What part of her body is she most embarrassed about and most proud about? Why did she choose to wear those specific clothes today? Who are her friends and which ones would be most judgmental if she had casual sex? If she got pregnant tomorrow, what would she do? What kind of men does she date and do they sexually satisfy her? Or any of them here right now? So that's to help you understand a little bit more about what women think about, but I might make more videos on this because there are a lot of qualities that men need for us to be attractive to you. Like you have to get in shape. You absolutely have to get in shape. You've got to be able to get to the gym and lift heavy shit. You've got to be able to run somewhat. You have to be happy. You can't be like going around all angry or depressed or anxious. You got to work on that shit. You have to smarten up and be reasonably intelligent. You have to be able to have a conversation. Like, do you read books? Do you have anything interesting that you learn about for your work or for your hobby? You have to get your life together. You've got to have willpower and you've got to have discipline. You've got to be able to keep your word. And you have to be the tender defender. You have to be agreeable yet assertive. You have to have some tenderness and understanding and still have boundaries. And you have to be able to dress reasonably well. Like, don't wear those baggy clothes. Like, wear some nice fitted clothes. Show off your muscles. You know, wear a belt. Wear some decent shoes. Get rid of those tennis shoes and just put on a decent pair of shoes that are comfortable. Get a good pair of shoes. And you're going to feel better about yourself when you do that. And believe me, if you're a man who does all this stuff, women will flock to you. I would love to see men who do all this stuff. But they're not out there. The single ones. Of course, I live in the suburbs. I mean, if I were down in the Pacific Beach area, I'm sure they would be all over the place or downtown, you know, or in a bigger city. But I also think, is this a man I could picture introducing to my children? Is this a man that would want to go to the opera, or is this a guy that likes to hang out in his camper? You know, like, I'm looking for like a more cultured individual. I've even had guys on my Just for Fans be like, oh, I know you like younger guys, would you want to get with me? I'm like, just because you're younger doesn't mean I want to get with you. Like, are you a professional, successful man who's reasonably well dressed, has good social skills, is confident, works out, is physically fit, lives according to his values and not his feelings? Like, there's so many people today that do not have these basic skills. And I've had trouble making female friends. I've had to let go of all my female friends except the one that I've had for 10 years because these women have emotional issues from their childhood trauma and their childhood abuse. They're really nice in the beginning and they try to be nice, but they don't know how to handle a conflict or a challenge. And now I have friends at least who make their own money, and that's good. But there are a lot of women that are in debt, or they have borderline personality disorder, or they have a revolving door of men. They don't respect their sexuality. They give it away freely to just anyone. And of course, I don't even know the kind of women that some of you guys are complaining about, like the cheaters. I don't know any women who cheat. Okay, none of the women in my family have cheated. Like, we're not like that. We honor family and relationship. Women who are bad with money, women who are abusive or alcoholic. I don't have any of that in my family. I don't have abusive women. I don't have alcoholic women. I don't have narcissistic women. Like, I'm actually very privileged. I grew up loved by my parents, okay, who were privileged, who grew up privileged. I have my bachelor's degree in computer science. I have an MBA. I was married for 25 years to a guy who really loved me. I got to be a stay-at-home mom. My kids went to Montessori. I got to build a house, but I also did all the cooking, all the cleaning, and my exercise and my meditation. So I feel good about the woman that I am. And I don't see anything else that I need to do differently. But I'm like, where's a guy that is at my level, so to speak? And I don't even care if he 5'9" is my minimum height. I don't even care how much money he makes, but I care what kind of man he is. All the other stuff, I don't care about the six-pack abs. I don't care about the income, and I don't care about the height. But I care about what kind of man he is. Okay? And if he isn't the kind of man that is a tender defender, who's safe, who's got willpower, who's interesting, I don't want him. Okay? So it's really up to the men, and the mating market is a biological thing. Like, we are animals in that way. Like, we're spiritual beings in physical form, and there's no excuse anymore. And, a lot of men are left out of the dating market, and some will never make it in because they have too many issues. But it's my belief that there's a significant number of men who can be back in the dating market if they just know what is required. Some men will not want to do the work, and that's fine, but some men will, and they're going to step up, and they're going to be like, so this is what I have to do. And they're going to take the steps because it's exciting and it's fun to improve yourself and to be with a woman, and they have that desire. So those are the men that I'm speaking to. But anyway, if you like this, again, get this book, Mate. It's super fun read. I hope you like my commentary along